Yee Yee Podcast Season 2. We are finally back. Apparently, we have a new intro song. Here it goes. All right, guys, we took a long break. We are finally back. We're calling it Season 2, but we don't really know what that means yet. And also, we have not even heard that intro song. Have you heard it yet?
Nope.
So it better be cool. Brian says he still hasn't even done it. So we are revamping things for what we're calling Season 2 of the podcast. In reality, all it was, we were taking a little bit of a break. We had a lot going on, but we also wanted to kind of redo the podcast as a whole and make sure that every single week that we're jumping on here, that we're providing good content and good value. It means a lot that you take time to listen to us, so we don't take that lightly. So tell the listeners a little bit about what we've got planned on this episode and then some episodes coming up.
Yeah, we just had Yee Yee Day, and we were able to connect with some top influencers that we think is going to be awesome content, starting with Matt Carriker from Demolition Ranch. Super awesome guy, came in, was super open, always been one of those guys to just do whatever we need of him. And we asked him some hopefully different questions than what he's normally asked. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised that it's not just going to be a typical interview. But yeah, so the goal of Season 2 is just freshen things up and get some new guests on that maybe we haven't had before, and just really be intentional with the questions that we're asking so that we can make it worth your time for those of you who are watching.
Yeah, when we were going through things for the last over a year that we've been doing the podcast, we were talking about how it seems a lot of times the best content, it feels like, comes from interviews. Because what's funny is, and I'm sure other podcasts have dealt with this, but sometimes like there's 5 or 6 people that jump on the podcast that are all Yee employees, and a lot of times the stuff that we're talking about, we've already talked about in the office. Like, we're all friends, which is a good thing, but a lot of these conversations we're having a second time. And so we wanted to be really intentional. And also, with our brand, we have so many connections to huge content creators, athletes, celebrities, everything like that. And I do think that we're pretty good, truthfully speaking, at interviewing, and we ask different questions than what people have had before. So yeah, we're going to try to do a lot more of that, and a lot more interviews and providing really good value. We need your help, though. So there's a couple things. One thing is we need your help with guests. If there's anyone that you think would be a great guest for the podcast, 2 parameters. 1, don't say you're like cousin Barry that lives down the street, because we're probably not going to have Barry on. And then also don't say Trump, because maybe one day we could have someone that big, but I don't think that that's probably going to happen.
You don't like Trump?
Yeah.
And you don't like Trump?
Here comes the peanut
Yee
gallery.
podcast, anti-Trump. No.
We don't dip into politics too
We're
much.
not
Unless Trump wanted to come on, then I would definitely dip into politics a little bit. And then the second thing is that the reality of running, man, it's storming, by the way, at the farm. We needed this. The reality of running these types of content productions is that it takes a lot of money and time. And so a lot of people that do content, that's all they do. They're not running a business or whatever. Like, they are content creators, which is great. None of us are that. We do this for fun, and we run Yee Apparel as our full-time job. So it takes a lot of time from Ben's helping with notes and then post-production clips. Parker and I are doing actual stuff for the podcast, like actually recording and then working on notes before. And then Brian obviously does all the editing and everything, and that's probably the most time. That takes the most time. And so all that is to be said is that we need this podcast to grow. Like, is that okay to just say? Like, we got to grow the podcast.
Yeah, just like anything with business, it just doesn't make sense to do it if it's not growing, if it's not adding any value. And so if it's not growing, then that's showing that it's not worth our time. And so if it's growing, then it helps us to know that we're doing something right. So the best way that we can grow is, I don't know if that's where you were going with that, is for you to just send a text to a friend if it's a certain episode that you like, or if an episode comes out and you're like, that was good. It helps us out a ton to just shoot a text to your buddy and tell them to check it out, and then hopefully it'll grow over time.
Yeah, we don't do sponsorships. We don't do any of that stuff that brings in revenue, and people think that YouTube money is good. It's not. We get a little bit of a chunk and change here and there, but yeah. So a couple ways that you can help is anytime you see a video, just comment on it. Tell us, you can comment you can comment where you're from, whatever. We do interact in the comments, and we love seeing that. That helps. Sharing, liking videos, making sure you're subscribed. All that stuff really helps. And yeah, we don't have sponsorships or anything like that. So anytime you really like an episode, send it to a friend or whatever, and hopefully we'll hold up our end of the bargain and make sure that we're getting on good guests. We're being intentional with the podcast, and hopefully with y'all doing that and us really focusing on content, it's going to help grow the podcast this year. This also isn't like gun to your head. You better share it, but it certainly helps.
But if you don't share it, then there won't be a podcast anymore, because it's just a lot of time and a lot of effort, and we enjoy doing it, but we want to make sure that we're using our time in the most effective way possible. So
cool. All the housekeeping stuff out of the way. Season 2, we've got Matt Carriker, aka Demolition Ranch, coming up now. We now welcome on very special guest, Matt Carriker. Can you, damn June, can you turn off the radio?
This podcast is already.
Is this
going
mine?
bad. I broke my
Oh,
sunglasses.
sorry, it's mine.
The radio's on.
I don't have one.
These are Demolition Ranch
All right,
sunglasses
sorry,
too, so it kind of talks about their quality.
Oh man.
This is my radio. We're not going to cut any of that. All right.
Perfect.
Matt, first
Hi.
question. How much are you benching right now?
Man, I'm actually a little behind, but I could hit 300 for sure, but I'm not happy about that.
Are you in the middle of a cut right now? Just
No,
a mini cut?
I'm in the middle of. I just was lazy for a couple months, and so I'm trying to get back on the wagon.
Something about the 3 plates. I don't know if it's a mental block or a physical block or what it is, but I did 280 for 4, but I still can't get 315.
You haven't ever got it?
No, I've never got it.
Oh, I thought you got it.
Nope.
Yeah, I got it. I got up to 320, but that was 10 months ago, and life, So I got to get back there. I'm close.
He's got excuses. He's got kids. What's your excuse?
Oh, nothing. I mean, he is like, I'm 29 too, so
Me
I have
too.
no excuse.
So this
Plus-
is probably a
plus some.
question you get all the time, but how did Demolition Ranch start? Like how, and we'll talk about your background before that, but how does Demolition become what it is now?
Well, what it is now is that's hard. That's a harder question. How did it start? It's easy, but what it is now is just evolving over the last 20. Not 20. I'm not that old. 10 years.
40 years ago when
10
YouTube
years.
first
It's
started.
actually it was 11. I think it's almost 11 years now. But yeah, it started because I knew I'd been watching. I was addicted to YouTube. I loved watching YouTube, and so I watched YouTube, and I had some videos on there just for fun. Like we just would put videos up, just like everybody did for fun back in the day. But then I saw people starting to make money on it, and then I saw people starting to make like decent money, like real money, not just pennies. They're making dollars. And my goal, I was in vet school at the time that I started Demolition Ranch, and my goal was to make enough money to buy ammo because we had no money. I was in college. We had my wife and I both went to Texas A&M for 4 years, and we graduated. And now I'm in vet school, so I'm spending more money on college, and so we have no money. And then we had a baby, and like my wife was not happy about me going and shooting guns every weekend because it's not cheap. And I was like, man, if I could just figure out how to make $200 a month, that would cover my ammo, and then I wouldn't get in trouble every time I went shooting. And so that was my goal, was to make $200 a month. That's all. That's the whole reason Demolition Ranch started.
That's a tale as old as time. Wives getting mad at husbands for spending too much time at the range.
Dumb hobbies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, like golf,
Everything,
fishing,
yeah.
everything.
And in a way, nothing has changed.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, like
It's still just buying things.
that
and then paying
5-ton
for
out
them.
there that I just almost got stuck in the mud, like all paid for because like I'm just making these dumb videos. Like I bought a 5-ton, and my wife looks at it and she's like, "You're dumb," but she can't say no.
Right.
I'm like, it's a business expense,
Right,
babe.
right.
Like I have to buy this.
So
right?
let's. I was gonna wait on this, but let's go ahead and talk about it because we kind of foreshadowed the hashtag DontTellMare.
Yeah.
So That is one of my favorite like internet subculture things because everyone in your fan base understands Don't Tell Mare.
Yeah.
So explain to that for someone that has never heard of you or never watched your videos. What is Don't Tell Mare?
My wife's name is Meredith. She's an angel, and she goes by Mare. I call her Mare. And so it started every time I got a new gun. I would talk to the audience. I'd look at the camera and be like, guys, like, hey, I just got this, this F2000. I mean, FS2000. And it's like a $1,500 gun. I'm like, hey, I just got this really nice gun. Like, but hey, don't tell my wife about it. Like, it was kind of a joke because obviously my wife and I have a great relationship and she knows about these things. But like, I wouldn't necessarily tell her the day that I bought it. She'd find out about it, a week later when she was like, hey, I thought you had like 10 guns and now there's like 20 in there. But
now you need a whole bedroom for them. How's that working?
Yeah, I have a vault. I have an underground vault in my house, as people do,
Yeah, it's normal.
A normal thing. But yeah, it just started as a big joke, like that I wouldn't tell my wife these things, and I'm like secretly keeping my hundreds of guns from her, and it just kind of exploded. But now every time people see us in public, and like Mare and I are together, they come up and they're like, hey Matt, like I love your videos. And I won't tell her, ha, ha. And she's like, ha, 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 like, it's so funny.
Yeah, it gets old after a while. It's the same joke.
She hates that joke because everyone else thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's funny, too.
It's funny.
It's funny.
She may need to start a hashtag Don't Tell Matt for all the leggings and sports bras.
She has. She's made some Don't Tell Matt jokes
she
before.
Already has.
Yeah,
Great.
she gets it. She knows it's funny.
I was about to
You
say,
hang around you long enough, you're going to start thinking that way, probably.
For sure. For sure. I agree.
So you said you glossed over the fact that you were going to school to become a vet.
Yeah.
What branch?
What branch of veterinary medicine?
I just love asking.
Oh,
that.
what branch?
Because,
I see what you're saying.
Because
Veteran.
people
I
see
got
how
the
you
joke.
dress and they're like, "Thank you for your service."
That actually has been one of the things that's hard because people like hear that I'm a vet. Their buddy will say, "Yeah, that's Matt. He's a vet," and I'm wearing camo and I'm shooting.
And you're
guns.
hanging out with Turkla.
Yeah,
and
the black
and,
rifle.
Like, a
Matt
bunch of my
Best.
friends are like Marines
Right.
and Army dudes, and like. So they're like, oh, yeah, he's a vet. Cool. Thank you for your service. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, no. I just like spay dogs and stuff. Like, yeah, it's not that kind of vet.
Very important, just not as
Yeah,
important.
I'm like,
I would
you're
say.
welcome for spaying that dog. Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Was there a point where? What was the point where it went from I'm going to become a vet and this is something fun to do into okay, let's go full speed into this? Because I feel like whenever you take that turn, it's a little bit easier whenever the job that you were going to be was like, no offense to anyone out there, just like an auto mechanic or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But whenever you go to school to be a vet, like that's insane to step away from that.
That was hard because we, my wife and I went to school for a long time. She went to school for 4 years. I went to school for 4 years. And then I went to vet school for 4 years. So we had 12 years of school in between us. I had 8 years of college. And then as like, I don't know, probably like 3 years into being a veterinarian, I realized like, man, this YouTube thing's really taken off right now. And so then like 5 years in, it was like, YouTube's like really big and like I need to start pulling hours away from being a veterinarian.
How many subs do you have at this point?
I don't know. It was gradual. So like I remember when it was like just making enough money that it was like, hey, this is some cool extra money. Like we're paying for our bills this month with just YouTube money. Like it was really neat because back then we still had school debt and that kind of stuff. We still had all that stuff that everyone out of college has to deal with. And so it was like so cool to have this extra side income that was coming in. And then it was like once the YouTube income passed the vet income, it was like, well, do we quit? Like, do we go to YouTube or what? And it was like, no, we can't because like we have 8 years invested in this. Like that doesn't make any sense. So we actually waited a couple years after the YouTube income passed that up, and then it was like, okay, we need to start pulling some hours away because the YouTube stuff is so much more fun. Like it doesn't feel like work. Like I'm shooting guns and hanging out with cool guys, and like it was like, okay, well, I used to have like a half day off from the vet clinic a week. Like my Thursday afternoons.
That was your YouTube afternoon.
That was my YouTube day. Like on Thursday afternoons, I would just go make a video. And then I was like, hey, maybe I should take off a whole day. So Thursday, I just cleared it. And I'm like, all Thursday, just YouTube day. And then I was like, I think I want to take off Wednesdays too and have 2 days. And so I just kind of started sharing time with the vet clinic, basically.
The way it comes across is that you didn't set some long-term 10-year vision. It was more you were just doing something that you enjoyed and was bringing value to people, and people enjoyed watching it. and then you sat back and you're like, this is like crushing right now, and I think I may need to do this more.
100%, yeah.
Because a lot of people will like set a vision and then it just comes across like they're trying really hard.
Yeah.
But for you we're always having fun, and you still are.
Well, 10-year visions, as you guys know, is hard with social media because who knows? Like I didn't know if YouTube would still be around in 3 years.
All of
at
these
any
apps
time.
may be gone in 10 years.
100%.
Yeah.
So I've been doing YouTube for over a decade, and the entire time I've been doing it as if it may be gone in 6 months. So like it was always a side business for me, like forever, because I was like, it might turn off soon, and then I'll just be a normal veterinarian again. And yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to be doing 2 years from now. Like 10 years, who knows? But I try to like think about what I'm doing for the next 6 months, and that's it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna aim this way for 6 months and see what happens. 10 years is impossible to guess.
That's why it's also so important. Like we're recording this on Yee Day. If you're listening, I don't know when we're going to drop this, but there's so many people, like listeners at home may not fully understand, but
Mayor's calling me.
Oh wait, Mayor's calling.
It's good.
Don't tell her. Don't tell her you're on the podcast.
Don't tell her, guys.
She'll get real mad if you're on the podcast. So many people don't understand they're listening at home. We know because we're in this world, but that's why it's so important to own your customers. So whether that be like y'all have, obviously with Bunker Branding, which if you're not familiar, Bunker Branding makes a lot of apparel, and not only do you do your own stuff, you have like, how many people do you have now?
We've got like
content
40
creators.
influencers,
like
and
insane.
Creators,
so a content creator goes to Bunker Branding. He's built out an entire team, and they say, hey, we want to make shirts and hats and all this gear for our followers, but I don't know the first thing about that. Matt's team says, cool, we're going to do all that for you. We'll handle it. We'll take a cut, and that's how it works. And it's great for those content creators because they don't know about that stuff, and in the end, they just want to make content. That's all they care about, and it's perfect. So that's why it's so important. If you're listening out there and you're wondering, like you want to start or whatever, YouTube's a great vehicle to do that. All the social medias are. Like that's how you get in front of people. But at the end of the day, it's what we've always tried to do, and I know that you guys have done it too, is own your customer info. Like get their emails, connect with them through email, like connect with them through text, because seriously, not even YouTube could be gone. Like I'm sure you're thinking about it all the time. Like as a conservative shooting guns YouTube channel, like you're probably having to deal with stuff every other day with what YouTube's going to do. And like, are they going to keep my channel up?
Right. And right now it's not as bad, but yeah, there have been times in the past decade, of course, where like stuff happened, or there's, certain people being elected to office where like guns might be taken away. Like we don't know, or they might be highly regulated. And then it's like, you're not going to be able to do any of the fun stuff. They might say no more 50 cals. And it's like, well, what the heck are we going to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually why I started the vlog channels, just so I could have something totally not gun related in case, gun YouTube ever got shut down, which now it's just been great to have a side channel that I can put anything I want on. I can put house building stuff. I can put, car building stuff, anything, all my other hobbies that I like to do. I have that, but I only did that because I was scared the Demolition Ranch channel might be squashed someday.
Yeah, and that's off the ranch, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of Bunker Branding, how does it feel knowing that the only two brands to not bend the knee to Bunker are here today in Dale Brisby's Rodeo Time and Granger's Yee Yee?
It's messed up. It's messed up. We're going to get them someday. We're going to.
Is that why you have all the guns? Is that
Yes, it's
low-key threat to, hey, I'd love to have you guys on. Make
well, you
some
guys didn't
t-shirts
see,
for
I
you.
walked through y'all's thing earlier and I kicked over some bins. I just was like, I'm going to mess this place up.
He took a note and then just kicked a bin.
He's like, I'll wear their gear, but I'm not going to
I
have
stole
fun
this
doing it.
hat and then I knocked over the bin.
Well,
full of hats.
what you mean by that, for if you're listening, it is interesting because we talked about this at one point, so it's interesting to have this conversation. We talked about this with someone. We were like, should we try to go get content creators? Actually, it wasn't really in the content space. It was more in music.
Yeah.
Because in music, Granger's got all these connections. Dude, we have ordered gear from people so many times, and like a band that I really love. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And if you look in the band and music world, there are like two companies that run everything, and then
Really?
there's a couple people that do their own little thing, but it's like Johnson & Johnson runs everything.
Yeah.
Like literally every single band gets their merch from one company, and they're all terrible quality. And so we've talked about that before. At the end, I think that for now, what we've decided is let's focus on us.
It's
and try
just
to
a
be
whole
the
nother
biggest
thing.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, do you want to do that? But yeah, I mean, obviously we're making jokes about this, but like, it's one of those things that like, I've offered for you guys to come up and see what we do, because I think y'all should start printing. Like, I want you guys to succeed, and like we print all our stuff, and I was like, man, you guys need to start doing all this stuff, and I want y'all to get on the next level. Let's go.
And explain to the listeners what is different about his facility rather than ours.
Yeah, Matt just prints all of their own T-shirts in-house. They're like, instead of going to a vendor and saying, I want this shirt, and then they make their cut on it, who buys a blank T-shirt and they print on it. Matt's like, we'll just buy the blanks ourselves. We'll buy the machines that print on them.
Yeah, we have embroidery and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that's where y'all should head. I mean, because it's hard to reach out to other people and profit off of that. Like for a long time, we were like, should we just focus on Demolition Ranch stuff and all that? But we just started doing all my friends' gear first, like all my YouTubers who they're my friends, and I'm like, yeah, we can do your stuff, it'll be easy. And so we weren't really doing it to make money at first, but now that it's grown, we kind of figured out all the details. Like it's good. I'm glad we did it, but and I also was like, I'm glad we did it in case Demolition Ranch ever gets shut down.
Sure.
Whatever.
Absolutely.
Like we can still have a real business that can support these other businesses and make money for us.
Yeah.
But it's been fun.
Well, it's like with music too. There's always going to be a new hot thing.
For sure.
There's always going to be something, and y'all have to have your ear to the ground, knowing who's the next content creator.
Yeah.
I was like, Ginger Billy's been doing it a while, but he kind of came out of nowhere, and I remember seeing his videos, and then all of a sudden I turn around and he's getting stupid engagement numbers on Facebook, unlike anything I've ever seen. And
Is that where he came up? I didn't know that.
Facebook.
Interesting. Dude, okay.
His videos on Facebook
didn't know
are
that.
Incredible numbers. I've never seen anything like it.
Crazy.
And if it was anyone else, I would say you paid for that engagement somehow, but I know he didn't because it's Ginger Billy and he's just a good old
Ginger
boy.
Billy is just the best, and you get on Facebook and each video is like literally 20 million views.
Yes.
Like that's not an exaggeration.
Ginger Billy is your mom's favorite content creator. My mom loves
Don't
Ginger
tell
Billy.
Dale Brisby that.
Yeah, don't tell Dale Brisby.
I don't know. A lot of moms love Dale Brisby.
It's true. His shirt yesterday said your mom's favorite bull rider.
That's pretty good.
All right, Apocalypse, you pick one gun. What is it?
God, that's the hardest question. Well, you know why it's the hard question? Because everybody expects me to say something crazy. They're like, yeah, Matt's going to pick rocket launcher
functional.
for sure.
Functional.
Yeah, it's an AR-15.
Exactly. That's what I would say.
Every day it's an AR-15,
Yep.
and that's the most boring vanilla answer. But that's come on. Like I'm not gonna get the Barrett out
Right.
for the Apocalypse, which would be sick. But I'd get sniped pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
We talk about it all
Nick
the
Irving
time.
can have it.
Nick
Yeah,
Irving.
Nick Irving, yeah. We talk about it all the time. Where would you want to be in the Apocalypse? And we talk about the Yee farm because it's a big enough compound to be
Yep.
big. It's flat
Oh, yeah.
everywhere,
You can
so
see
we
every
can
direction.
see everything. So you have a 24-hour shift. We come in and out. There's a bedroom up there that you can crawl out the window. And I'm like, if you have like 6 people working, 8-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, whatever, you've got 6 people all around the building. No one is coming here.
You got one guy like camo down in the swamp over there. Like he's just sitting there. Like people are gonna be trying to sneak through, and you're just gonna snipe them right there.
Actually, after the mudding today, we could probably get someone down in the mud too.
Yeah, like Predator style.
Speaking of hiding out in those situations, your vault is unbelievable.
Thanks.
I've never seen. It
Really
looks
excited.
like a dream Grand Theft Auto.
I walk
house.
down there sometimes, and I'm like, this is like some Matrix stuff. This is John Wick over here.
I saw your kids were not impressed with the food storage. That you
Yeah,
had
they
there.
thought I was crazy. I finally broke down. I was like, I need to be a prepper. I need to get some food. I got 3 months of food for one person, which is it's like 2,000 calories a day times 90 days or whatever. And so with my family of 5, it'd last a lot. It'd be like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But I showed my kids, and they were like, "Oh, this looks disgusting. I would never eat this." And I'm like, "You will when you're starving." They're like, "We won't." I was like, "Fine. I'm gonna eat all myself. Then whatever. I don't care about y'all."
Well, you made a good point in it because you're like, it's one thing when a grocery store is out of stuff for like a day, but you don't really realize how fragile civilization is because you said, and you were like, if it goes 3 days without it, things go downhill really fast.
Yeah.
Granger talked about it when everything happened with, we joke about it like it was the toilet paper, but they started running out of other things. And Granger said, all it takes is one dad who's like, my little girl either needs her medicine
100%.
or we're out of food. And I'm so sorry, man, but I need to take it from you.
Start robbing people with guns. Yeah, 100%. I mean, there were lines to get into stores when just the power went out for a few days, during that snowstorm. It was hard to get food for a few days. And I was like, what if that went on for 3 weeks? It'd be getting a little dicey, and we'd feel a lot more comfortable if we were have 3 months of food downstairs. So that was why I was like, man, I can spend, I spent $800. That's not that much for that security, and it lasts for 25 years. Has a 25-year shelf life, and it's I don't have to buy any more food for a long time, and now I'm covered for the next 25 years in case something bad happens that's worse than the power going out for a week.
I love the innocence of kids, though. They're like, Dad, we'll just Uber Eats some McDonald's or something. Like, it's
we're just
fine.
going to drive into town and get Taco Bell, Dad. Come on. Like, we don't want to eat this junk in your buckets.
All right. Who would you, no parameters, doesn't have to be in the outdoor space. Who would you want to collaborate the most with?
Is it Elon Musk?
He's pretty hot
Dude,
right now.
can you imagine the numbies that you and Elon Musk would do?
That would be
Like,
I mean,
stupid.
but it would just be Elon Musk, and like I would just be there. Like it wouldn't be because
Yeah,
of me.
but I think that I think that you don't understand. Like, okay, yeah, Elon is Elon, but you have such a dedicated following. But then you got to remember too, all the people that aren't dedicated to you but are in the outdoor space and have heard of you.
Yeah.
Well, now this video with Elon Musk comes out, they're all watching.
Yeah.
Like it would do insane numbers.
Yeah,
but that doesn't have to be your answer.
As far as numbers go, like something like that would be great. But yeah, my answer, I think I'd do it with George Strait. If I get George Strait on Demolition Ranch, like I'd hang it up. I'd be done after that. So that's what I'm shooting for. Just George on the channel. Hey George, I love you.
Does he live in San Antonio?
Yeah, he lives like 20 minutes from my house.
See, now what you've got to do is, like the kid that wants a job and puts his resume in a cake and sends it to the CEO. Now you got to start getting creative.
I should like break into George's house at night.
Just create. Yeah,
Is that-
yeah.
is that what you
Just
meant by
break
that?
in. Just break in.
Well,
Okay,
no,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's happened to you before. You told me that, right?
No one's broken in my house.
But they showed up at your door at night,
Oh yeah,
right?
someone. Yeah, like 8 o'clock. Yeah,
At your front door?
Yeah. Yeah. Not
That's
cool.
a little dicey.
Yeah, I mean, he got welcomed in a not very welcoming way.
It's
It was a bad idea for him.
it's wild to me to watch. It's the same thing with Whistling Diesel. It's
Yep.
like that you watch all of his content is out there. He has guns. Like what the guy's about, and he doesn't mess around.
He
And then
regretted it for sure.
Okay,
but-
cool.
Like, it's only happened once, and he regretted it. So, yeah, I don't want to get into that story, but yeah, I was mad. Very like he jumped my gate and came down to my house at night.
Oh,
and
jumped.
He jumped a gate.
That's a whole.
Like I'm not on a place. Like I don't have a sidewalk up to my house. Like I have a gate, and I'm not next to the road. And I was not happy.
Do you have any interest in becoming a NASCAR driver?
No, not really.
But I've been
racing
thing.
lately.
I know.
knew you were into racing,
Yeah.
but I didn't understand it to the full effect until I watched the latest video. I think it was on Off the Ranch.
Yeah.
And it was so awesome that there's actually qualifying and there's guys out
yeah,
there
it's-
using like nitrous.
It's legit. Yeah, we had nitrous in those cop
have you
cars.
seen? Have
Yeah,
you seen
yeah.
the
I've watched your
yet?
videos.
Yeah. No, that's really fun. So the reason I wouldn't be in a NASCAR is because they go 200 miles an hour or something, and I'm just scared of that. But these Crown Vics, they go like 70.
But isn't it safer to be in a NASCAR with the safety?
I don't
versus
think so.
do you just have a really nice roll cage in
Yeah,
it?
ask
all
Dale.
got,
Ask
they've
Dale.
got roll cages. You're in full suits and everything. Like we're in helmets and full fire suits and fire gloves and everything. But you only get up to 70. And like it's just like a NASCAR race where it's just an oval track. Everyone's going the same direction. So like you're crashing the whole time, but you're all crashing in the same direction. And so it's
dirt?
pretty safe. No, it's asphalt.
Oh, it's asphalt.
Yeah. So we're actually going to Indianapolis. We're racing on
Oh,
the
for
on the
the-
Indy track in like a couple weeks or something. So that one's bigger. So we're going to be going a little bit faster. But
How do people can people watch this? Can people stream it?
100%. So they sell tickets to be in person, and it's a live stream as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is it compared to the way you thought it would be? Because everyone looks at that and they're like, "Oh, I could do that."
Yeah, it's
Are you
way
better
harder.
or worse? Is the competition better?
I'm way better now. So this was my second time to do it. The first time, I actually got T-boned unfairly. Like some guy went off the course and then he came back in and just T-boned me, and it crushed my steering and ruined my car. So I was out pretty early, and so they gave me like a spare car, but it was terrible. Anyway, this last race though, my car held up and I did good. I got 7th out of 20 guys, and I started in 17th place. So I did pretty good. It's mostly just an endurance thing where you have to keep your car alive, you know? And so the guys that come out super hard end up getting smashed. And so I was trying to just kind of feel it out it was a 100-lap race. And so the first like 50 laps, I was just feeling out. I was moving up a little bit, but not very much. And I was just trying to not ruin my car or burn my tires up or anything. And I hadn't used my nitrous yet. And then we hit lap 50, and I was like, all right, I made it to the second half. Like, let's go. And I was like, let's see what this button does. And started using nitrous and started like passing. And so I think the next race I'm going to be a little more aggressive, because the guy that won was just like cutting people off and being really aggressive. And I think he got lucky he didn't like hurt his car, but he's also a very skilled driver, of course. And so I think I'm just going to be a little more aggressive in the next one.
Did you at least take your helmet off whenever you fought the guy that T-boned you?
Oh yeah, no, he's dead. No,
Because that's a big thing in NASCAR, and
Yeah.
we're just now getting into this. It's
Yep.
like if you're gonna fight someone, that's okay on pit road after the race,
Yep.
but you better take off your helmet.
And that was actually part of the rules. They were like, if
Okay.
you fight someone, make sure to do it in front of the crowd
Yes.
and don't hit them with your helmet.
Okay.
So they just don't want you to use your helmet as a weapon, and they're like, otherwise, go at it, boys, and make sure you do it in front of the camera so we
Yeah.
can get those views.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs and Kevin Harvick love fighting with their helmets on. Apparently,
Huh? Why?
well, the last 2 years I've seen both of them do it.
Interesting. It does it's hard to get those helmets off. You have gloves on, and you have to try to get your strap off. I could see that it'd be hard to do it, but
Or if you just know you're gonna get your butt kicked.
yeah,
That'd be really hard.
I'm gonna leave this thing on.
It's like if me and Robert Oberst were like,
That's
I
true.
can't get it off.
I'd probably leave it on. Just go ahead and hit me. I'm gonna leave my helmet on though. Just
Robert's out there making people use his smelling salts.
was he really?
Yeah.
For what?
He's passing it out to everyone just to get
Just
their
because
reaction.
no one's ever smelled that before. Yeah.
Ginger Billy goes, it's like fire ants in my nose.
Yeah, I can guarantee you Ginger Billy's never done smelling salts before.
I had never met him before, so he's been doing his merch with us for a while, but I had never actually run into him. And I just thought it was a little bit of a character, but no, that's how he is.
No, that's him.
That's him.
Exact same thing
Yep.
I thought the first time. We were with
Yep.
him for like 6 or 7 hours, and yeah, I thought he was gonna fly here with no shirt. I texted him before. I was almost so worried. I texted him before and said, "Hey, Ginger, just a heads up. Remember, you got to wear shoes and a shirt
Yeah.
to the airport whenever
I'm
you
sure
fly
he
here."
hams it up a little bit, but dude, that dude's a redneck.
Yeah, he is.
That's him.
Yeah, he is. All right, I got a couple questions. I just got one actually. This is the last question. This is Google question. This is something that people are asking on Google.
Oh, good. I can't
yeah.
wait.
This isn't what I'm asking.
All right. I hate that you preface it with that. What's
Yeah, I don't want you to think that it's what I'm asking. How much money does Matt Carriker have?
Am I trying to guess what Google says?
No, you're just telling me how much money you have.
How much money I have?
Like
Okay.
how much
Cool.
money is in your wallet right now?
It's a weird. This is not normal, but there's over $1,000 in my wallet right now because I sold something recently.
You can show it to me. I won't.
Okay.
I won't take it. Show it to me really close.
You gonna take it?
Dale just said millions yesterday when we asked him.
Yeah.
Count it for me.
There's like $1,000 in there.
Ooh, there's a lot of hundreds
Yeah,
in
there's a
there.
lot. I just sold something, so yeah.
People love.
Yeah.
We always ask that. People love.
But hey, Hayden, I have hundreds of dollars in my bank account too.
Yeah, people always love asking that online. I've never been someone that cares about that.
Yeah.
But I will. I went to San Diego a few weeks ago. My parents were staying at a very notable golfer's house. We had a friend of a friend, and they had this vacation home. And so I was like, "Hey, Brian, who's our video guy, Brian Kimball." I was like, "Hey, we're staying," because he's a golfer. I said, "Hey, my parents are staying at this person A's house," and he immediately was like, "Their net worth is $50 million." It's like, I didn't ask. I didn't ask how much money they have.
Yep.
He's obsessed with looking at people's
The
net
internet
worth.
it's funny because I'm one of those people you can look up what is Matt Carriker's net worth, and some of them are close and some of them are so far off. But
Right.
I also do it too. I'm like, oh, what is Chuck Norris's net worth? And I'm like, oh wow, it's $100 million. And it's like, who knows if it actually is? Some random guy on the internet said that. It also used to say, if you ask how tall is Matt Carriker, it said I was 6'9". And
Nice.
for like 5 years until I brought it to the attention of the internet, I was like, yeah, the internet thinks I'm 6'9".
He's actually
And then they
6'10".
started to figure out how tall I actually am. It's like, he's not 6'9". I'm like 6'6" or something.
Do you have a Wikipedia page?
Oh yeah, but I actually someone put that up back in 2013 or something, and I don't think it's been updated. So I've got this Wikipedia page from when I had 30,000 subscribers. Yeah.
We could change some stuff on there.
Yeah, you probably could.
If you're listening to this, go change something funny, and then a couple days
Put
after.
that I'm 6'9".
Yeah,
Make
yeah.
sure to put that I'm 6'9" on there. Or 7'9". Let's really crank it up.
Born in 1961, 1962.
Yep, exactly.
Real old guy. All right, well, this is fun. We always ask. Well, we don't always ask. We're gonna start asking people to end with a piece of advice for the listeners. It can be a life lesson or life quote. What you got for us?
I don't know. That's a really broad
I know.
question.
Well, mine yesterday was don't pee on an electric fence.
Yeah, I've never done that, but that probably is pretty good advice. Man, I don't know. You put me on the spot here. Follow your heart, guys. And,
Beautiful.
And reach for the moon. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Was that 1 or 2? Did you just
It was
wrap?
like 3.
Okay, I was
yeah.
about to say.
It was just
Covered all his bases.
just very, very general. Go for it.
It was great. He came up with that on the spot. That
was
is
perfect.
Matt Carriker
That was
original
perfect.
too.
There you go. Yeah.
That's perfect. All right, well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for
We'll have
having
to
me.
have
This
you
is
on
great.
again.
For sure.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. See y'all next week. Eat your veggies.